Hey, welcome into the Thursday edition of the Locked On Lions Squad Show. Jake Riepma with you, fired up to preview Lions Bengals coming up on Sunday.
Hey, Natalie, Kerwin with FanDuel Sports Network. We got an early Locked On Lions podcast today, so I got my podcast going. I need a little jet fuel here this morning. Bradford, what say you?
Go Ferris State. So Bradford Banta here, 22-year NFL veteran. Hey, after a 34-10 thrashing of the Browns and the Bengals up next, the Lions looked like the most balanced team in the NFC heading into October.
One pride. It's the Lions Squad. Everything Detroit Lions every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Motor City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the roar of the Lions to the next great chapter, the Lions Squad Show starts now.
Hey, surprise and good morning. That's right. We're keeping everybody on their toes for an early edition of a live Locked On Lions Squad Show. Jake Riepma, Natalie, Kerwin, and Bradford Banta. Fired up to be with you bright and early. Nat, you've got the coffee going before we go any further. Let me work this in. Otherwise, I'm in big time trouble. Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. It's a crossover Thursday. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use that code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And who's to blame for the early start? Oh, yeah, that's right. It is me. So, Natalie, Bradford, thank you guys. Thank you guys for your flexibility. I'm about to hop on an airplane here in a little bit. But, Natalie, I'll start with you. You got the coffee going. You're ready to go. You're an early riser.
I try to be, but you forced me to get up even earlier today. So I'm not going to show too much resentment on this call, but we'll talk about that later. We'll circle back on this because
hold on. On this call, is this like a business call? Like, do you have your itinerary and your workflow and Microsoft Teams? Like, this is a live Locked On Lions Squad Show here. We're not reporting for duty here. This is fun, Nat.
She's on Copilot. She's using Copilot. I'm telling you.
This is you know what, Jake? This is all business. We'll talk about this later because I'm serious.
I love it.
It sounds like it. Yep.
No, it's all in good fun. All good. You know, it's nice to switch it up once in a while. And getting up early, I feel like it helps get your day more productive. You know what I mean? It forces you to just get your head on straight, make your list of what you got to do, and what better than getting up, prepping, talking about an absolute dominant win. And I guess that's where we'll start. So I got my coffee in me and we're ready to go. Sunday's win over the Browns was awesome. To look back and even watch highlights this week, the way Detroit was able to take advantage of a quarterback in Joe Flacco. And, he's been in this league a really long time. At this point, he should probably look to retire the way that they made him look, right? They even said on the broadcast that his son was wearing an Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey, which is just sad. He wasn't even supporting his dad. I mean, obviously he was, but that had to have been a really awkward dinner table conversation this past week. Like, what's going on there in the Flacco household? Not sure, but all three phases from Detroit were elite. Offense, defense, special teams. I'm still replaying the Khalif Raymond 65-yard punt return touchdown. That was awesome. That was electric. And even they've come out now with a Dan Campbell, live hot mic reaction in the moment. And Dan was like, oh my gosh, come on, let's go. And even he was so fired up about it. And I just watching it live for me too. That was my perspective on it all. And it was a very complete game. It was what you want to see from Detroit. And as we've said on this podcast, they continue to just keep building and playing more and more towards a quote unquote perfect game, I think, each week, and showing that they're building towards that. So I was very impressed from what I saw on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that this team actually took a step in maturity-wise because, Jake, you and I both on Sunday's post-game show said the game was meh. And from everything that I've seen, Dan let them know in the locker room. And they knew it. But yet they still won by 24 points.
Right.
And that's the key. Now, you're going against the defense. The Browns defense that was ranked very high in the NFL. Now, Browns offense, not so much. But the Lions were able to take advantage of situations And the thing that stood out to me was the lack of penalties by the Lions. They had a couple, that were drive killers on offense with the false starts in one of those drives, but they were able to overcome a lot of that. And I would call this their most complete team win, simply because, defense did their thing, holding them to 10 points. Offense did their thing by scoring 27 points. But go back, and defense put the offense in great field position because of the interceptions and turnovers, and gave the offense a short field. And then the jolt of lightning or jolt of monster that we were talking about on Sunday's show with the punt return just not only uplifted the Lion, but it also put a pin in the Browns' balloon, and it just kind of deflated them, and you could just see them float all the way to the ground.
No doubt about it. And I think it says a lot about this team that they can play a meh kind of game and just still utterly and completely dominate not just the stat sheet, because that's just a product of the play on the field, but at the same time, just be in control. And I think that was the term that we used quite a bit throughout the course of the post-game show. But it is now Thursday. It's a live Locked On Lions squad show, an early edition. So we appreciate you waking up early with us. Want to say hello to everyone in the chat. So if you're joining us and you got the coffee flowing like Natalie, Kerwin does, and myself, which I should have mentioned. Bradford, what are you working with this morning with a little to keep the energy going here on it?
Hey, got a little coffee.
Alumni cup.
I was just gonna, Nat, you beat me to the punch. Yeah, we're not just gonna let that cup go off screen quickly like that. If you're tuning in on the YouTube, show it off. Come on, because
all right, here we go.
Maybe a D2 alumni coffee cup, but not an NFL alumni one. One more time. I didn't get
all right.
Here,
you want me to get a little Prices Right? We give it a little hand. There we go. Yeah. So not much of a hand model here, but you do what you can.
That's got to be worth something. That cup.
The cup?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's worth the hot coffee that's in it right now because it's pretty doggone good.
What do you got in there? Just black coffee or what?
Yeah, just black coffee. Just let it roll.
Not the matcha latte that I've made you try.
No, because you had to send me the recipe for it, and then I had to present it. I didn't even I went through the drive-through. I was like, I can't even read this. So I go to the drive-through at Starbucks, and I just gave them my phone. I was like, here, make this, because some of the stuff I couldn't even pronounce.
I love that. Hey, speaking of,
but it was good. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there you go.
Was good.
There you go. Let's say hello to my guy, Senior Graves, working with the Starbucks Sumatra Rose. A little coffee emoji. There you go. And Nat, I am working with a little shameless plug, Creation Coffee. It's a local Michigan company. You got to check it out. Ooh. What are you working with in the Ferris State Cup there?
Okay, this is going to be an interesting mix. I feel like I'm always a wild card, guys. Okay, this might debate a whole.
That's why you're the Rose.
This is why the rose between
we missed you on Sunday. This is what you bring.
This is what I just bring, a different element. You never know what you're gonna get. Okay, so in here I do have a splash of regular coffee. Okay, but I'm trying this new thing called mushroom coffee.
I've heard of it. Yes, okay. It's supposed to it's supposed to just do everything for you.
It really is. It's super healthy for you. It has 7 superfood mushrooms in it. Papa Kerwin has been on this kick for a long time, and I said, I got to try this. So you just put a little scoop in some hot water, and it's supposed to help with, your cognitive memory, brain function, energy. It's all natural. And then I put a little, coffee creamer on top. So it's a good mix of, I got like 3 things going in here, but it tastes pretty good.
What's your cream of choice? What's your creamer of choice?
I have just vanilla in here.
Okay.
Which typically that's what I'll go with, is just a vanilla creamer. But yeah, we'll see if the mushroom coffee does anything. It doesn't make me feel jittery. Sometimes I get too jittery from regular coffee, and that's why I steer away from it sometimes.
Is that why you're talking a mile a minute right now?
Yeah.
That's usually my sign to add like 4 more shots of espresso. I'm not jittery enough. Got to bring the energy, just like the Lions will bring the energy this weekend against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I like Joe's comment here, who wants us to sweep Ohio. And Nat, I got to mix this one in just for you. My guy, Senior Gray, saying continued Michigan dominance over Ohio. And I felt like there's a little tone there for the University of Michigan too. And maybe I'm forcing something there, but we won't get into the college ranks because I don't want to see you come unglued and bring your Spartan passion out quite yet this early in the morning. But we'll save that for later. When do Michigan and Michigan State play? It's come end of October, right?
October 25th.
Yes.
Mark it on the calendar.
Oh, there we go.
Sounds like yours already is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Lions, Bengals. We're going to get into Nat's notes here in a little bit. We'll have Bradford's coach's corner, but just starting kind of high level, some catching up on some Lions news and notes throughout the course of the week. The unfortunate news is where we'll start with DJ Reed, who is going to be on the injured list with the pulled hamstring or the hamstring injury. The severity of it, it can never really be a defined thing, but obviously that leaves some questions, but, some opportunities in the secondary for guys to step up, and we've talked at length about Terrion Arnold and some of his shortcomings. Bradford, I'll start with you. The coach's cliche and the cheesy approach is next man up. That's just the way you have to be. But at the same time, the reason that's always been a saying in the game of football is because it's the reality. Next man up, and the Lions are in a situation now where they have to have some guys step up in that secondary.
They do, and this is the good thing about how they've structured the roster over the last 4 to 5 years. Whenever they first came in, they got rid of a lot of the aging, let's just say possibly cap heavy veterans, and then they did a youth movement. And whenever they did this youth movement, they had a lot of people for cheap. And then now that they're starting to come with the contracts coming up, they're keeping all the good players. So by saying that, the fact that they have established leadership in the locker room, they have established culture by bringing younger players in and by bringing veterans in as well with that culture, they can actually come to these veterans and younger players and say, this is the way that we do things here. And that's the mindset that each one of these guys has going out to practice, going out into the game, because you never know when your number is going to be called. And by having that next man up mentality, and like you said, is it coaches speak? Yes, it is. But it is the truth. These players get worked into the first team offense, defense, special teams, team sessions, and they take all the individual. They prepare like they are going to play, because you never know with a 48-man game day roster. You never know when your number is going to be called, because that leaves so few changes that you have to make. And that's what coaches constantly do. And that's what I did as a special teams coordinator. You sit there, and I had I had the whole roster up on a magnetic board, and you sit there on a daily basis. Okay, what happens if? What happens if? You always have to have an answer, and then you have to prepare that answer as if he's going to be playing in that game. And I can't tell you how many hours that we spent just looking at the board. And the funny joke about it is we would look at each other and you're like, you know what? No matter how long you look at these boards, these magnets never move. So, but you just have to get these guys ready to go. And that's where the Lions have done a good job. And they did it last year defensively. And they're having to do it a little bit again this year defensively. The key being they have to make it to, was it week 8 is the bye week? I believe. So you figure you got about, 3 more weeks. So let's continue the domination. And the practice schedule structure is going to be key on how you take care of, or i.e. manage these guys until you get to the bye week. And then you give these guys just a little bit of time off, because everybody across the league, I mean, your body starts to break down over a 17-game period. So, i.e. 18 weeks, including the bye week. So it boils down to Dan talking with all of the coaches and people in the building to get their thoughts and feelings. But the ultimate decision is up to him on whether to back these guys off a little bit on how they practice or ramp them up. And it's all in how you structure the week and then prep these guys for the game.
I feel like I couldn't have said it better myself. That was coming straight from the heart of a coach. You get it. You get it.
I get it. I've seen it. Believe me.
And it's not like Bradford. We kind of touched on this in the post-game Sunday, and it's not a joking manner by any means, but and it's not a sign of lack of sympathy or empathy for the player that gets hurt, but we've both been in those situations in the locker room where you just, of course you're rooting for a speedy recovery, but it immediately, whatever the mental process is, you shift from, okay, there's of course the extenuating circumstances, and the Lions preseason game in Atlanta was one of them where injuries are like, that totally becomes a topic of conversation. But when it's a hamstring injury, it's okay, who's up next? How does this impact the personnel on the field, and how can we put our best foot forward? And I think that's just kind of one of those underlying truths that it's a part of playing and competing, that you just unfortunately have to accept the harsh reality of injuries that are associated with this dangerous, violent game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a violent game, and I think a majority of the fans, they would be so surprised at how fast this game is. And I know a lot of people will go down on the sidelines of college games and high school games, but once you get to the NFL level, it is these guys are fast, these guys are explosive, and these guys are smart. And getting back to your comment earlier, Jake, talking about, there's two things at hand when a player goes down. You feel bad for the player. And I'm speaking as a former player and coach. You feel bad for the player. But at the same time, you have a task at hand, and that is to win the game. So you put those feelings for the player aside. You make your replacement with another player, knowing that you and he have prepared for this moment. And then you go out there and you put him on the field in the best possible situation for him to succeed. Those are the things that you think about during the week. Now, is there compassion for the injured player? Yes, there is, because he has put the same amount of time and effort and energy to get his body and his mind ready to play.
Absolutely. And it also starts the recovery process and getting back on the field, which we do have some good news on that front. Nat, what's coming up in Nat's notes?
Yeah, we do have a player. We've been waiting, and we're waiting and excited to get back. We heard some good news this week. I'm not going to tell you who it is yet, because we're going to hear it on the other side of this break.
That's a tease.
How about that for a little tease?
Who is it?
With us.
Have you been working in the radio business? I mean, that's a radio tease right there. That's stay in your car radio. Now I can't leave because I'm staying in my car because I got to hear what's coming up.
Do I have a journalism degree? I don't know. Have I learned this before? I don't know. It must come natural, but wow. Yeah, something like that.
I love it. Nat's notes coming up next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Locked On Lions Squad Show. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel Sports. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. It's that simple. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And don't take my word for it. You got to experience it for yourself. But if I were to give you a few tips, hey, how about some player props, maybe a little same game parlay? And if you're like me, you love the live betting because you see how the game's going and then you get your hunch and you go for it live during the games. And it all happens at FanDuel.com. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today and get started. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sports. There we go. A little wrong button action never hurt anybody. We were cruising way too much for there not to be a little hiccup there. But hey, we're rolling, and Nat's Notes is live. We need like a introduction for it. That'd be one more button I gotta press and everything. Like it's Nat's Notes.
Oh, I like that. Can we figure that out some point down the road?
I will tell you, I'm behind on my my intro making for the old day job on the radio. I've got about 7 different intros to segments I still need to make. So I'll add yours to the list. How about that?
Okay.
Do it on the flight. Figure it out on the flight.
We'll get to it in a year.
Yeah, I got to be in the lab to start making the intro music. It's got to be like 2 in the
lab.
morning.
I remember, Jake, not to get off topic here, but you used to say that all the time whenever you were at the golf course. You would put that on your Instagram stories. You'd be like, in the lab.
That's
about that.
All right, we're getting off topic. It's Nat's Notes, but you are absolutely correct. I still have the hope and dream and fantasy of someday being somewhat competitive in golf and not a 16 handicap. But for right now, I will settle with my 16 handicap and not as much time to play golf anymore. And a lot of reasons for that, professional reasons, of course. And, my beautiful fiance, your close friend, Sydney Carriel, reminded me that I'm never going to make the tour. And maybe I don't need to spend as much time on the golf course, which is a harsh reality for me.
It is. It is. You know what, though? You just got to keep trying, going back to the lab over and over again. Right. And maybe one day you will get there. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. We will keep encouraging you here on the Squad Show. And I hope I can get there too. My dream isn't to be on the tour, but I hope I can start to be a consistent golfer. That's
do you play as well? Do you play as well?
I do.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I just started a year ago, so it's very fresh.
Cool.
Hold on, that's not true. And again, we'll get into Nat's Notes, but there was a time, Nat, if you recall, we were out at brunch practicing our golf swings somewhere in downtown Birmingham, just working on the fundamentals. So it's been in the works for a while.
I mean, okay, I should say I've gotten lessons over the last couple years, but I truly never went to a course and actually started trying to play until truly this summer.
That's
honestly,
addicting, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's taken me a while to finally start to get it down. But anyways, we're not talking about golf on this pod. We're talking about football. We will get back to golf at another time. So you guys, we ended this last segment talking about DJ Reed and how unfortunate that injury was. Only good thing coming out of it, he is avoiding surgery on the hamstring, which is a good thing. Hopefully we get him back after the bye week. He thought it would be much worse at first, but he said he will be back this season, so that is a great thing. Good news this week, Terrion Arnold did practice, but so did another guy, the one that we teased right before the break. Here we go. Are you guys ready for this? Drum roll, please. Alim the Dream McNeil. Okay, he has not seen the field since tearing his ACL last December, but the clock for his return started yesterday. So that means he officially started his 21-day practice window. Really exciting. Talked to the media yesterday about this rehab process. And he said, I've had no dark days during this rehab and coming back to it. He said, I play for the Lions. And I feel that proudly. And I every day that I've come to train and get back stronger, I've known I'm going to come back even stronger, and I'm excited to start. So Jake, I'll start with you. How much just of a breath of fresh air is it to know that this guy will be coming back at some point to give this D-line some depth?
Oh, it's huge. And at a position where you can never have too much depth. And I know you could say that about a lot of positions, but something to be said in just the game of football in general, when you have a push and a force at the line of scrimmage, whether it be on offense or on defense. And we talked about it at length on this program, but it just continues to reiterate what this team is built on. And he is emblematic of not only overcoming some adversity on the injury front side of things, but then also from an X's and O's standpoint on the field, the difference he can make and the complementary impact he can have with the rest of that defensive line. And obviously Aiden Hutchinson is where you start with on a Lions defensive line conversation. But at the same time, from an interior standpoint, I think this defensive line has been better than I expected. Maybe that's just, my I didn't have the high enough bar to begin with Alim McNeil out. But you think of the rookie like Tylee Williams, I think he's been pretty good. And now Pro Football Focus will pull up some random formula and put a bunch of numbers by his name, but turn the tape on. And I think he's been pretty good. And I think that Lions defensive line in general has been a strength of this team. And so when you add a valuable asset to that, it's not rocket science to say that that's really going to be very, very impactful in a positive way for this Lions team. So I'm pumped. I think I love that you touched on his comments, because we get kind of a glimpse into his mental fortitude that a lot of guys, and right, wrong, or indifferent, the injury process is different for everyone. It can be difficult. And there are the question, I believe, that was phrased, dark days, that can be something that's very real for a lot of guys. And for him to have that continuous upbeat, positive spirit and that perspective of, hey, I got it pretty good. I'm playing for the Detroit Lions. I think that just is just volumes of the type of person he is. So can't say enough good things about Alim McNeill. And I know I just pulled the Jeff Rieger and just commented on every possible thing there is. So Bradford, that's on me. I get excited seeing guys overcome some adversity and putting themselves in position to succeed.
No, I think that him being inserted or coming back from IR is at an ideal time right now for the Detroit Lions. And I covered it earlier with the comments, and it just gives the Lions a little bit more flexibility with that rotation, just to reduce the wear and tear whenever he does start seeing the field. And it's been, you talk about them being a surprise in a positive way at the beginning of the season, talking about the defensive line. You kind of have to think about it in a sense, in a complete team way of why they're a surprise. Credit the offense and special teams with putting points on the board, forcing the other team into an all passing situation and playing catch up mode, where the D-line just has to concentrate on pass rush, and they really don't have to concentrate on the run that much. So once you flip that switch, you're like, hey, all I have to do is just rush the passer. Hey, let's roll. And that has, to the team's credit, that has benefited the defensive line. Now, like I said, it's going to take some of the wear and tear off of the defensive line, but having him back is going to be a plus with his positive attitude that he's already expressed to the public. Things are looking up, and then moving into the bye week, which is 3 weeks down the road. It's all in how you manage him and how he comes back from that ACL tear. So I'll be interested to see whenever he is inserted into the rotation, and it's going to be fun to watch him produce again.
And I think they're going to be really careful with how they manage him in practice. As you know, as we've seen with Taylor Decker, they're being very careful with him during the week as far as how he practices, and with his chronic shoulder injury, and being really treading lightly with how much they're getting him involved and really saving him just for game time. So whether that's getting him a lot of reps early or waiting, and just to see, I think they're going to be really careful with this kind of injury because they know how much value he adds to this team. And, it's important that you don't put someone in too quickly. We talk about the D-line and how much, he'll add to that depth, but let's talk about the O-line, guys. The Lions have not allowed a sack for 3 consecutive games. Okay, that's insane. It's a franchise record. We've hit on how from week 1 all the way now to week 4, how much growth we've seen from that line together, from Tate Ratledge as a rookie being able to adapt, and just his continued growth, even just individually, to Penei Sewell and how incredible he is really anchoring that line, as well as Taylor Decker. I mean, just all of them as a whole, as a unit. It's amazing to see how powerful they've become. How much respect you think nationally do you think that group has gained? Because I've seen this week they've been talked about a lot. And I'll just start with you, Bradford. Do you think this group really is earning national respect to being one of the best in the league this year?
Considering how they were bashed week 1 and then the way that they have responded, I think that's a testament to Hank Fraley, the offensive line coach, and keeping that group together and just stressing communication to that entire group and them coming together as one and taking in, because you essentially, the middle part of that offense, of the 5-man offensive line, the guard, center, guard, are all new at that position, at those positions. So the fact that they are doing that well this early on is a testament to Hank and his, coaching that he's doing. Now, do these guys put in the work? You doggone right they do. It is a 7 days a week, and I'm not going to say 24 hours a day, but they put in the time to make themselves better. And they take pride in what they do because they know that they have weapons on, at the skill and big skill position. So they have to, 1, run block, and then 2, pass block to get the ball distributed to all the weapons that they have out there. So they know that they are really the pistons that make the engine drive. And, so go the Lions, so go the offensive line. And I think that was quite evident in the first quarter of the season. Green Bay, they lost the game. From then on, they've put on an offensive display, and it starts with the big guys up front.
Absolutely. I would also add to that I think it's an interesting perspective, Nat, the national conversation. And, we've talked at length about the Lions, they don't give a damn about the national conversation, but that's what we consume. And that's, there's a sense of pride with that. I know for me here in Dallas on 105.3 The Fan, I'm always hyping up my Lions still, and I get labeled the Detroit guy. And of course that's I'm proud to be labeled that. And part of that conversation with the offensive line is it's so critical for the functionality of Jared Goff, because he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not a mobile quarterback that, is able. And I say that you guys know my admiration for Jared Goff. It's not a knock by any means. In fact, I think he is as pure of a quarterback from diagnosing coverage to checking plays at the line. He does so many different things well from a mental capacity that a lot of quarterbacks aren't able to do anymore. But some of the old school guys like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Drew Brees, that made them so good. And I think sometimes and I'm not knocking the Lamar Jacksons and Patrick Mahomes and everything. They're fun and flashy and exciting to watch. But at its core, what the true definition of playing quarterback is, Jared Goff's able to do, and his offensive line keeping him upright and clean in that pocket is so paramount that some of the national conversation goes, oh, Jared Goff's playing really well right now. And it's, yeah, because his offensive line is keeping him clean in that pocket, and he's able to do what Jared Goff does.
Absolutely. I feel like you just put it perfectly. He can't do what he does without the guys in front of him, and he makes sure to give them a lot of credit, right? He's always very honest and upfront in all of his interviews. Hey, I couldn't do it without my boys in front of me being able to do their jobs and allowing me to do mine. And that's how I'll wrap my Nats notes is on Sunday, Jared Goff will start his 70th career regular season game as a Lion. It's significant because he began his career starting 69 total games for the Rams. So when he walks off the field in Cincy, his career will be more Motor City than Queen City, which, if you didn't know, is Cincinnati's nickname. Had to look that one up. But I tried to be sly with that, guys. So he'll be more Motor City by the time he hangs up his career one day than being a Ram, right?
I love it. I love it.
Anyway, so yeah, very cool for Jared, and that's how I'll wrap this thing up because I know we got to get to the chalkboard here with Bradford. But I just want to say for Jared Goff, the legacy that he's already started to mold in Detroit, the guy that he is, and I won't rehash everything you just said, Jake, but I feel like I'm on the same page as you too with the person that he is, obviously the player that he is. It's great to see this team gaining the coverage that they are with a guy like that at the helm. And that's how I'll leave it. So, yeah, that's enough for Nat's notes. But it's now time to get to the X's and the O's with Bradford Banta.
Yeah, can you top Nat's T's is the big one question.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. I like it. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back with Coach's Corner next on a live Locked On Lions Squad Show. Hey, this episode is brought to you by GameTime, and listen up because the NFL season is back. And honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team, and make sure it's at Ford Field, or be a road warrior. Go check out those Lions on the road as well. And let's be honest, sometimes getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, price jumping at checkout, which is the worst. It's so frustrating. And that's why I use GameTime. It's the app that gives the advantage back to fans. GameTime is fast, easy, and backed by the GameTime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets, and they'll be delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, here's the best part. Write this down. All fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. And I'm going to hammer down that point because there's nothing worse than thinking you got a great deal. You go to checkout, and all the fees jack up that price, and it's no longer a great deal. So if you take nothing else from this, remember, GameTime, it's the price you see, that's the price you pay. It's the app that made it super simple, and that's why I love the GameTime app. So download the GameTime app, create an account, use that code LOCKDOWNNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Create that account, and it's promo code LOCKDOWNNFL. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swap. How about swipe? There it is. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, download the GameTime app. Back with you on a live Locked On Lions Squad Show. Jake Riepma, Natalie, Kerwin, Bradford Banta, and it's time for the Coach's Corner. We'll work on an intro for that as well. Bradford Banta breaking it down, the 20-year NFL veteran, and just with all the knowledge. I'm looking forward to it. What do we got?
Knowledge.
That's what they're calling
it's coming out of all three of us right now. I tell you what, man. No, let's just talk about. Let's start out with the offensive scheme, and then versus basically the Bengals secondary. I honestly think that Detroit must exploit mismatches, and how do you do that? So just let's get Goff going early, and we have quick crossing routes with the slot receivers, the tight ends, and then we have dig routes, meaning a 10-yard and in route. So with possibly J-Mo running over the top in a post. And Detroit leans on this heavy. And if we have a good play action game, we have to establish the run first. But we also, and we just got done talking about it in this last segment and talking about the no sacks for Goff, which is huge. And that's where you have the road graders up front with the improved communication, them talking more and more and more. And that all starts in the meeting room. I'm a big proponent of having all those guys just sit together and, you rearrange the room as a coach and you strategically place people in your individual meeting room, meaning you have those guys forge, friendships or at least communications that starts in the meeting room and then it spills over to the practice field. You have those guys talking because one of the guys you have to be on the defense for and is a guy that we have talked about in past shows is Trey Hendrickson, coming off the edge. How are they going to handle him? You're going to handle him with double teams, one-on-ones. You're going to have Sewell, Decker taking him on, or there's a possibility they may move him inside just to similar to what a couple of teams have tried versus the Lions in the past, trying to just test the guards and see how they are versus one-on-one pass rush, because you can force an issue as a defensive front depending on your alignment if you understand what the offensive line is trying to do protection-wise. And you can force the one-on-ones, and that's where I would move Hendrickson inside and put him against one of the guards and try to edge one of the guards and get to Goff as quickly as possible. If we do this, talking about, just keeping Goff clean, we have to have run game dominance. And that's where Sonic and Knuckles come into play. And they just have to attack. And then you have to ask, that begs the question, do you run at Hendrickson or do you run away from Hendrickson? Is he Myles Garrett? No, he's not. Is he effective? Yes. But you can do some things running at him and attacking him to wear him down, which does not make him as an effective pass rusher. And force Cincinnati into a two gap or nickel fronts. And then you're going to be attacking with inside runs and then zone runs off tackle. And Detroit has been very effective, especially versus Baltimore with the inside run. And that's when Montgomery went off, because they just handed him the ball and you just say, hey, take it and go. And they exploded. I look for some of the same to happen versus Cincinnati, but they need to sustain drives as an offense and just keep our defense off the field, because it tires out the Cincinnati defense and especially defensive line the longer that they are on the field. And it's a lot more tiring to defend the run than it is to rush the pass.
No, for sure. And we haven't talked a ton about Cincinnati, and it's not an element of taking this opponent lightly, because we know with a Dan Campbell led team that will never happen, but it was pretty uninspiring performance from them on Monday Night Football. And fortunately for them, there was another Monday Night Football game going on, and theirs was the later one. So I think a lot of people, if they were like me, turned it off when it was 28-3 Broncos. But at the same time, this is the National Football League, and they'll find a way to come back. But I do think, and Bradford, not to hijack your segment here, but I do think it's an instance where you have to go out and take care of business, knowing you're the better team, being able to handle that. And the Lions have proved, at least within the last several years, that when they are heavy favorites, they can handle business.
Yeah, and I would imagine that is the message that Dan is conveying to the team this week. Look, we know we're better than these guys. Let's just go out and prove it, take care of business, and move on to the next game. So by no means overlooking this game. By no means.
And they're a struggling team without Joe Burrow too, as we've been able to see. It has been bad. Now, granted, they were facing a Broncos and Vikings defense these last 2 weeks, but 13 points total.
That's good, Bob.
That's awful. I mean, their offense is operating at historical lows. Let's see, they've been held under 200 yards of offense in 3 of 4 games. It's with Jake Browning at the helm, it's not looking great. And with no official timetable for at least 3 months, with Joe Burrow out with that turf toe injury, it's just hard to say what the future holds for this team. And so, yeah, to your guys' point, I think the team knows, even without Dan going in front of them and saying, hey, you guys were the heavy favorites in this one, they know they got to just walk in there and take care of business. Exactly.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And then, you talk about the offense and their non-production, talking about Cincinnati, well, how do you defense against them?
Right.
Because you don't want to be that team that has, that Cincinnati has a breakout game against. So how do you do it? Yeah. I know Detroit is a heavy man team. So this could be the game where you rely a little bit more on zone coverage and bracket, the top targets that they have. And that they will do just fine if that's the case. And if that's what Detroit chooses to do defensively to take care of the top weapons for Cincinnati. And I would, just like they did with Myles Garrett, line up Hutch in different positions. Maybe put him on the interior every now and then. And just like we were talking about the Bengals freeing up Hendrickson, do the same thing with Hutch. If you understand what the offensive line is trying to get accomplished protection-wise, maybe you could put him on the interior and have him rush the B gap, have him rush from off the ball just a hair, and switch it up just a hair, just to put something out there on film to take away your tendencies. This would be an ideal situation. And I say that we have to pressure Browning early just to get him rattled, because and again, this week is just force turnovers. We should be able to win the time of possession game against this 100%. Team and just keep the defense off the field and force Browning into making bad throws and bad decisions. And then we have to get our hands on footballs and retain it, and then get our offense back out onto the field.
Yeah, and Nat, like you said, the previous weeks with Browning against some vaunted defenses, he turned the ball over so many times that the little Monday night coverage I did watch before I had to shut that game off, Buck and Aikman were talking about how the game plan for the Bengals was just, don't put anything on Browning that puts him in a compromising position to turn the ball over again. And that turned into 1 yard pass, 2 yard passes. And it was just so painful to watch. So I don't know. And we love when I play NFL head coach or NFL GM and spew out some useless information, but I don't know what the possible game plan can be if you don't have a down the field passing attack. You don't really have a rushing attack. This is several years removed from the Bengals not having Joe Mixon, but they opted not to pay him as a running back. And again, everybody loves my NFL GM knowledge and expertise, but I don't know what the plan is for the Cincinnati Bengals, and it feels like they've punted on this season with the injury of Joe Burrow. They didn't try and go out and get a backup quarterback that would be more suitable than Jake Browning. But listen, I'm not Nick Saban calls it rat poison. I'm not spewing out any rat poison. I'm just stating how it is. The Lions are a much better team on paper, but they got to go out and execute.
Yeah, I look, talking about game plan wise going into this game. And all right, and then we haven't touched on special teams. And I'm probably going to harp on this the rest of the year, is just no penalties. Play a clean game. If you play a clean game, then you have there's not that much hidden yardage to be lost. No penalties. Just be smart. Now, let's say if Cincinnati comes out and they lean on the run, in the beginning, hey, switch to heavier fronts. So, and then, and that's where you just get that gap control and you just shut down the run. And then whenever they abandon the run, then more zone blitz packages. Yeah. But the key is just situational football and then time management, and just limiting the Bengals offense out on the field. That's what I think the entire game's going to come down to. We're just winning the time of possession, taking advantage of our possessions that we have, and just let Fox be a holder for the game. That's all you want him to do. Because my goal whenever I was playing and my goal whenever I was coaching is that I always wanted my kicker to have more reps than my snapper and punter for every game. Because that means, one, we're not punting the ball. And whenever they're all on the field at the same time, it is a snap, hold, kick. And then we have a kickoff afterwards. So I always want my kicker to have more reps than my snapper and punter.
I love it. I love it. We'll have our score predictions, keys to victory, and revisit our score predictions from last weekend, because I think they went pretty well. We love that when the gang is on top. So don't go anywhere. We will tie a bow on this one and close it out next on the live Locked On Lions Squad Show. All right, this episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety picks than anybody else as of August 2025. That wasn't that long ago. I'm talking from footwork to breathwork. Athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every single model. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but everyday drives, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Just like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. There it is. Everybody's favorite. Come on, lay it on me. I know.
I was so moved for the last 30.
They updated it, though. There was a couple of more add-ins there. You got some, cruise control and anything else that I had to say there. But I just want you guys to feel moved.
Oh, I want you to draw out Mazda a little bit more. You've done it in the previous commercials, but
Mazda.
Gotta draw that A out.
No, I didn't feel the enthusiasm today, but Bradford and I can take over if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. I'm taking you up on that. Absolutely. We'll make that change right now. In fact, there we go. All right, you guys, everybody on the stream, we got plenty of witnesses. We got people in the comments as well. Here's our guy Jeff K. Stand in front of Sewell and be moved. There you go. I love it.
I'm pretty sure that's Papa K.
I love it. That's our guy. That's our guy. Go Ferris State Bulldogs. How about the Ferris State Bulldogs getting some national love? You got to love it. All right. I get a little distracted. That's on me. But our score predictions from last week, you got to love this. Nat, 28-21 with the Lions victory. So 7 point. What was the final? 34-10. So we're looking for whoever was the closest to a 24-point victory. Bradford, you had 31-30.
Yeah.
1 point victory. You had the right team winning.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think you're gonna go with that again this week. Just my 2 cents, but
yeah. And I had 28-13. I didn't give the Lions offense or defense enough credit, but my margin of victory was the biggest. So I'll take that victory. Before we get into score predictions, I know we're running a little late on time because we just had so much good stuff to talk about. One key to victory. Who wants to start? I know you guys love when I do this. So, Bradford, how about you?
Yeah. So I will talk until I try to think of something and then buy some time for Natalie right now, since you just threw this on top of us. So, hey, key to victory is really it's TCB on the defensive side of the ball. And what I mean by TCB is just taking care of business. They just have to go out and play their game. But what is the key to that? I ask you. So I need to have an answer for that. And I'm sitting here buying time. Thanks, Jeff. No turnovers. Exactly. No turnovers on offense.
That's a football guy. That's a football guy that gets it.
No, but is win the turnover battle. I'd say if we come out of this game +2 in the turnover battle, it will be similar to what you saw last week.
Okay.
Did I buy enough time for you?
You did. I think you did.
Did I take Papa K's Papa K needs to walk into the room and kind of like hand you a sheet of paper,
He could if he wants to.
Instead of serving one up to me like that. So okay.
We might get a guest, Chris.
we need our first Papa K, the first appearance for our key to victory segment here.
Possibly, maybe we will.
And some Fair State Bulldog love.
All right.
We only have a few minutes, but yes, no turnovers as he just said, but also Lions got to go in there and do what they've been doing all season. They got to understand that this is a game that they can absolutely take advantage of. They should have success against that Bengals O-line, Aiden Hutchinson in particular, right? Oh, here he comes. Okay, hold on.
Let's go.
Andy has a Lions sweatshirt on. Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
There he is.
There he is.
Boy,
There we go.
The legend, the Fair State Bulldog legend. What's happening, man?
Oh boy, let's not go that far. Let's not go that far.
Hey, the first time I meet you in person, we got to strap it up, do like an Oklahoma drill, see who's still got it,
Dude, I'd love that. That was my favorite drill. They outlawed it, though, in high school.
I know. We've gotten soft. It's ridiculous.
I agree. We got to win the turnover battle, for sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
Got to win in the trenches. I want to continue to see, at least for me, Tate Ratledge, Mahogany, and then, of course, Graham do their thing in the middle. Mm-hmm. I think that's important. I'm starting to love what I'm seeing out of Talik Williams on the other side of the ball. So I think that's where I tend to look. I stare and really focus on the lines, as Coach Banta would, I'm sure, confirm. So important. And yes. I think the rest will take care of itself.
I love it. That's a legendary celebrity appearance from
boy. Anyway, you guys doing a great job, but yeah, let's bring home the victory. I think
absolutely.
As I said in my comments, are they going to rue the day they didn't draft Sewell and took Chase instead?
That's a great point. Yeah, they passed on Penny Sewell. That's right.
You got it. Right. Go on.
Absolutely. Right. Hey, first of many celebrity appearances from Papa K. That's we're gonna get our booker that's in charge of booking guests and get a direct line to Papa K.
We can add him to the list. Absolutely. Okay. If anyone ever backs out last minute, whatever, he's always available.
I love that. Right. That's right. So Sam, I know you're a big fan of our show. We got a guest on today. So and I mean, in all seriousness, Papa K's right. Just go win the battle in the trenches. And mine, I'm going to put a bow on it by just saying belt to ass. Go put belt to ass because you're the better team, and the Lions are certainly capable. Score prediction wise, as we wrap up here, I'm gonna go. You guys care if I go first since I won last week? All right. I'm gonna go 28-9. Lions win 28-9 on the road.
Ooh, good.
All right, Nat, you think about it. I got to stick with it, me being superstitious, 31-30. So
it's such a random score, too. Like, how is that a scoregami?
Huh?
Is that a scoregami? Like a score that's never been done? No, I feel like 31-30 is probably been done.
31-30 has been done before.
We had a scoregami Sunday Night Football, Packers, Cowboys, which we haven't made fun of the Packers yet for tying the Cowboys. Embarrassing.
We haven't even talked about that. I know. Yeah. I'm going to go with. I'll say 31-10.
All right.
Okay.
So that's a 28-point difference, and mine is oh my gosh, math is hard. Mine's a 19-point difference. Yeah, that's tough. Okay. All right, we've got a couple of score predictions coming in here. My guy Cy Gray has been with us all show. We appreciate that. And Joe's a big fan of the Nat and Papa K future segment. So there you can the positives, the reviews, the raving reviews, which we know in this business are tough to get. So we can mark that down. But we got to run. What a show it's been. Appreciate everybody hopping on early with us. If you missed anything, you can catch it on the Locked On Lions YouTube page, I should say. Make sure you like today's video and subscribe. And you can catch the audio only version wherever you get your podcasts. Post-game show will be with you Sunday, immediately following the final whistle. Final word, Bradford Banta, Natalie, Kerwin, and then let's hop on out of here.
So, hey, just looking forward to Sunday's game and just seeing how the Lions can produce a W, how they go about doing it.
Week 5 dub, BTA.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get a bigger scoring gap in there than what we saw on Sunday.
Okay.
Right. Feeling good.
Okay.
Love this Lions team. Love all of our viewers and listeners that make this show possible. Make sure you check out Locked On Lions with Matt Derry as well. And for Natalie Kerwin and Bradford Banta, I'm Jake Riepma. See you Sunday, a little bit later, late game. I should have mentioned that 4:30 kickoff. So it'll be in the evening time, but looking forward to that. Have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend. We'll see you next time on the live Locked On Lions Squad Show.